Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Thank you. Jamunatira Banachari Jamunati Rabanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunati Rabanachari Jamunati Rabanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajakacharya Asto Tarasata Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivra Jakacharya Astotarasata Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. New Goloka Dham ki jai. Sankirtan Jagat ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, book distribution ki jai, Prashadam distribution ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Shrimati Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Ganga Mai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bom. Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunivadi Pasatyade Satani Panchakalpatarubhya Shakripa Sinubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Praishva Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Okay, so let's take 10, right? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Raja Putri Psita Bhuper Loka Pala Vibhuti Bi Mahanubhavai Srimad Bi Rupadarya Balorjitai. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Raja Putri Psita Bhuper Loka Pala Vibhuti Bi Mahanubhavai Srimad Bi Ripodarya Balorjitai. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Raja Putri Psita Bhuper Loka Pala Vibhuti Bi Mahanubhavai Srimad Bi Upadarya Balorjitai. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Raja Putri Psita Bhuper Srimad Bi Bhagavan Uvacha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Rajaputri Psita Bhupar Lokapala Viputibi Srimati Rupadarya Balojitai Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Rajaputri Psita Bhupar Lokapala Viputibi Manubhavai Srimadvi Upadaya Balojitai Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Raja Putri Bhita Bhupar Lokapala Viputibi Mahanubhavai Srimadvi Upadarya Balojitai Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Lord said, Rajaputri, O Princess, Ipsita, you were desired. Bhupai, by kings. Loka, of planets. Pala, like the rulers. Vibhutibihi, whose powers. Maha, great. Anubhavai, whose influence. Srimadbi, opulent. Rupa, with beauty. Audarya, generosity. Bala, and physical strength. Urjitai, abundantly endowed. Translation. The Supreme Lord said, My dear princess, you were sought after by many kings, as powerful as the rulers of planets. They were all abundantly endowed with political influence, wealth, beauty, generosity, and physical strength. Please repeat. The Supreme Lord said, My dear princess, you were sought after by many kings, as powerful as the rulers of planets. They were all abundantly endowed with political influence, wealth, beauty, generosity, and physical strength. There is no purport, so I'm going to go until there is a purport. Tan pap praptam artino idva chaidya din smaradu madan data bratrasva pitracha kasmano vavrishe saman. Since your brother and father offered you to them, why did you reject the king of Chidi and all those other suitors who stood before you maddened by Cupid? Why instead did you choose us, who were not at all your equal? Rajabhyo vibhyata subru samudram sharanam gatan palavad bikrita dveshan prayasyakta nripashanam. Terrified of these kings, O lovely browed one, we took shelter in the Should I repeat the rest or no? The last one? Okay. Terrified of these kings, O lovely browed one, we took shelter in the ocean. We have become enemies of powerful men, and we practically abandoned our royal throne. Purport. by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments on this verse as follows. The Lord's mentality here can be understood as follows. When I gave Rukmini a single flower from the heavenly Parijata tree, Satyabhama showed such a torrent of fury that I could not pacify her even by bowing down at her feet. Only when I gave her a whole Parijata tree was she satisfied. Rukmini, however, did not display any anger, even when she saw me give Satyabhama the whole tree. So how can I enjoy the nectar of angry words from this wife, who never feels jealousy, who is supremely sober, and who always speaks pleasingly? Thus considering, the Supreme Lord decided, if I speak like this to her, I will be able to provoke her anger. This is how some authorities explain Krishna's speech to Rukmini. According to the Acharya, here the words Balad Bi Kritad Veshan Praya indicate that Lord Krishna opposed almost all of the contemporary kings during his incarnation, befriending only a few, such as the Pandavas and loyal members of his dynasty. Of course, as stated in the beginning of the 10th canto, Lord Krishna appears specifically because the earth was overburdened by innumerable bogus kings, and he wanted to remove this burden. Finally, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that the word Tyagvan Ripashanam, giving up the king's throne, indicates that after Lord Krishna killed Kamsa, he humbly gave the royal throne to his grandfather Ugrasen, although the Lord himself was entitled to it. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jnana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. The only verse that was coming to me this morning, because I was very tired, and I was thinking about giving the class, and I was thinking, I'll tell them, you get what you, there is two choices. You get what you get, and don't be upset, or you say a sincere prayer that we can pull through this, because I did prepare, but this is not a subject that I think about very often. And actually, I was really admiring. We had a lunch one time with last Sunday, and Mother Mila was saying that her mother, when she was passing away, was actually fascinated by this story of Krishna kidnapping Rukmini. This is amazing. You know, and at the same time, she was saying that her mother had been giving millions of dollars in charity. It's like there was an attraction, you know, Rukmini is the goddess of fortune. There's the opulence there. And it's like, for me, when I think about, I never think in terms of opulence. It just doesn't cross my mind. You know, opulence doesn't. So that's why I never really think about Rukmini. So I went and looked up in Nectar of Devotion and Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada speaks very differently in those two books. It's interesting. Because here he says, here he says that an example that in the title of Further Feature of Ecstatic Love for Krishna. He says there is another instance of this concealment in ecstatic love, when Krishna, the supreme joker, planted the Parijata tree in the courtyard of Satyabhama. Rukmini, the daughter of King Vidarbha, became very angry. But due to her natural gentle behavior, she did not express anything. No one could understand Rukmini's real mental condition. This is an instance of competitive concealment. Interesting. Now, he says in Krishna book something different. He says, I wonder why he says like that. I'm so bewildered why he says like that. Here it is. Satyabhama, here it is. The pastimes, Krishna had experienced that when Rukmini was offered a Parijata flower by Narada Muni, Satyabhama had become envious of her co-wife and had immediately demanded a similar flower from Krishna. In fact, she could not be pacified until she was promised the whole tree. That was actually done by Krishna. The tree was brought down to the earth planet from the heavenly kingdom. After this episode, Krishna expected that because Satyabhama had been rewarded by a full tree of Parijata, Rukmini would also demand something. Rukmini did not mention anything of the incident, however, for purposes, you see, for she was grave and simply satisfied in her service. It's two different moods, isn't it? Krishna wanted to see her a bit irritated, and therefore he schemed in order to see the beautiful face of Rukmini in an irritated condition. Although Krishna had more than 16,100 and 100,000 wives, he used to behave with each of them with familial affection. So it's very interesting. It's like, at one point, this is by Rupa Goswami, and he says, so there is difference sometimes like that. So I was thinking about it a lot actually last night, and it's competitive, but those are absolute pure devotees that only think about Krishna's pleasure. So it's not that, see, when we are competitive, or, when people that don't know anything about devotional service are, in the material world, and when they are competitive, there is real envy. And it turns very nasty. And when the devotees, the pure devotees of Krishna are competitive, it's different. It has a different flavor. They are competitive for Krishna's pleasure, because they are only obsessed with Krishna's pleasure. And Srila Prabhupada was encouraging that in book distribution, He was saying, he was trying to get us to do more than the other. But there was no nastiness in it. Because I do remember being in a Sankirtan party in Seattle. And we traveled all over the States. And we worked very hard. We tried very hard. I was very competitive. I wanted to do bigger than everybody. But I don't remember that there was envy in that party. Actually, when we see each other, which is rare, but when we hear of each other or talk to each other, sometimes we give each other a phone call. That was like in 1978. Yeah. And we have so much affection for each other. So I'm sure that Satyabhama and Rukmini, even though that when the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there is competition, but the competition is like how one will, how will I please Krishna more? And there is a sweetness in that. And there is a respect of the other and an appreciation of the other in that. And I believe that, we are not there, and we are not in the material world, somewhere working our way towards being obsessed with Krishna's pleasure. And that's, it's a practice, and we will get there. And it's very helpful to be aware of what's going on inside. Like, I'm going to read this. This week, a nurse came to visit, and she turned out taking a Bhagavad Gita and, a lot of books. She took the 4 questions, and she took a Bhagavad Gita. And when I give Bhagavad Gita to people that I have a conversation with, I love to read that verse because they can really relate to it. And it's the first verse of chapter 16. And I read her 3 different verses. And she was a Christian, but she had me put markers on every verse. And she cooked the Bhagavad Gita very eagerly. And it says here, The Supreme Personality of Godhead says fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. So, of course, these pure devotees that are still competitive, they have all these qualities. They have the compassion, they have the freedom from envy. So, why do they desire those flowers? Because it will be a beautiful garden, and they will make beautiful garlands for Krishna with that. They will offer Krishna flowers because they offer him arti. So it's like, it's for their service, to please Krishna, make him happy. So it's a beautiful, this competition can be very healthy. It's enlivening. That's why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to be together, actually. So that we if we are just by ourselves, then we have a tendency to slack off. But when we are together, we encourage each other and enliven each other, to serve Krishna better. So, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot. Oh yeah, I have some more to say. This is a very interesting point in the purport. When Srila Prabhupada, the disciple of Srila Prabhupada says that, Krishna says that we have become enemies of powerful men. So, what happened? Yeah, he says we took shelter in the ocean. So Krishna did take shelter in the ocean. He went to Dwarka, and he did that to protect his devotees. And he became enemies of powerful men because of paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya sadhuskritam, dharma samstapanataya. Is that it? Sambhavami yuge yuge. So he comes to, defeat the demons and protect the devotees. So the kings, Mother Earth had come, she was burdened by very demoniac kings like Kamsa. And she came to take shelter of Krishna. And Krishna came to deliver the earth from that burden. So he fought all these demons, Shishupal and, King of Chedi, that Shishupal, and Jarasandha, and all these people that were causing so much pain to Mother Earth and all the living entities that were on Mother Earth. So he did make enemies of powerful men. And he abandoned his royal throne because out of his great humility. I mean, the throne was supposed to be for him, but he gave him to King Ugrasena. That's because he wants to please his devotees. He came because he wants to enjoy loving pastimes with his devotees here on planet Earth. Because there is pastimes on Krishna as a child, he doesn't have that in Vaikuntha, definitely. And even in Goloka, I heard that there was no Krishna as a baby in Goloka, right? Am I right? So Krishna is enjoying these pastimes and reawakening, trying to reawaken our love for him. And so that's the part. And, another thing is that Krishna wanted to enjoy Rukmini's anger. But I was listening to a class again in Melbourne when I was preparing. And he was saying something very funny. He said, Krishna wasn't expecting Rukmini to react like that. I mean, it was so heavy for her, the words that he was saying. She had begged Krishna when she was just a young girl. And she wanted Krishna as her husband, and she only thought of Krishna. She couldn't even, she said, I don't want a husband with, mustache and bile and blood, and I don't want nothing of that. I want you, Krishna, as my husband. She never thought of anyone else. So when you were saying these words to her, it was very shocking. And she just passed out. And he had to change his whole program. He didn't expect that because of Yoga Maya. He didn't expect that. Of course, Krishna knows past, present, and future, and he could have known. But absorbed in his pastime of loving exchange with his devotee, he just had to change his program, like he said, and pick her up and be very gentle with her. And because it's a different mood than Satyabhama. She pleases him in a different way. Satyabhama fights him with joking words, and that pleases him. And Rukmini is always compliant and just tries all the time to please him in so many different ways. She's the goddess of fortune. We sing that every morning. I want to read that because, Chintamani prakarasan mishuka pavriksha laksha vriteshu surabira bipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra satasambrama sevyamanam Govindamati purusham tamam bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So that's the mood of Rukmini. She is serving with great reverence and affection by hundreds, with hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So it's different than Satyabhama. Okay. I hope that you have something to say, because good. Thank you. Can you get her a mic? Can you get her a mic? She'll ask a question or do a comment. Thank you.
I remember reading something, and I don't exactly know where in the Bhagavatam, in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, about how when a person becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, that person's psychological status changes. Psychological status changes to that of absolute normality. And absolute normality means to be in the mood of devotion to the Supreme Lord. And then if there is no envy and there is no bad feeling, there are no bad feelings, nothing like that, it's because that person is healthy.
Nice.
So the comment you were making about how the gopis and whoever is in the pastimes with Krishna wants to please him, and there's this competition that is not. First of all, there is no envy in the spiritual world. There's the word envy, but the word envy is devoid of malice, yes. Right? So envy means, I know that I can do better because I really want to please him better. That kind of mood. And then the other person may feel, how wonderful that you have this ability to please him more than I am, because I really want him to be so pleased and so satisfied. And in line completely with what you were saying today. There's no malice, there's nothing but encouragement, and this kind of competition is simply, I want to do for Krishna the best in order to be able to please him the most. Thank you for your class.
And we all have different ways of pleasing Krishna too, Yeah. We all have different, Krishna has given us different gifts, and we all have different ways of pleasing Krishna.
So I have a question. It seems to me that God wouldn't make a big mistake like misunderstanding his wife's reaction to his joking words. I mean, it just seems incongruous that he would, joke thinking I'm going to get her to become angry, but then she would become so disturbed that she would faint. It just seems like that's a huge miscalculation of his understanding of his wife. And how could God, or someone who knows everything about everybody, make that huge mistake?
Well, he doesn't remember he is God at that moment because of Yoga Maya. Yeah. He's just engaged in loving exchange, and he does, he acts as if.
So the loving exchange is so it's so compelling or so strong that it's even stronger than Krishna's ability to understand his wife's psyche.
Yeah, something like that.
Because, if you make that kind of mistake with your wife, you're going to have big problems.
Well, he had a big problem.
He did have a big problem. But that's the kind of thing in the material, there's a lot of people, they go to couples counseling because of these communication issues.
But he fixed it. Quandary, yes. It did go. There is another point that I want to bring. Is it
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
There's another point that I thought was really interesting. Krishna said something so interesting, that Satyabhama showed such a torrent of fury that I could not pacify her even by bowing down at her feet. I just read about a month ago. Somebody gave me a very interesting book. It was 500 pages about the Benedictine monks. It was fascinating. What reminds me of that is that Krishna could not satisfy Satyabhama by bowing down at her feet. They have, it's a funny story, because Saint Benedict was a monk in a cave. And he was practicing austerity. And of course, he was praying and practicing sadhana. And he became attractive, because anybody that connects with Krishna in one way or another becomes attractive and develops certain powers. So then some young men went and also got themselves into caves. And guess what? They all started fighting with each other. And they went to Saint Benedict and asked for what are the rules. So I had read a long time ago this other book that's called Humility Rules. It was very helpful to me, actually, because I needed a lot of explanation of the Trinada Pisunicena. And they have a way about whenever somebody is offended, like we might offend another person, their rule is that they have to bow down at the person that's offended immediately and not even ask for forgiveness, because the psychology behind it is that everybody thinks that they are right. So instead of asking for forgiveness that they did something wrong, they bow down at the feet of the other person and ask for a blessing. That's very interesting, because it puts the person in a position of saying, the person that has been offended is a little upset, right? But he's got somebody at their feet asking for a blessing. What are they going to do? They got to give the blessing, And that can be done when somebody, I read that like that, it made me burst up laughing. That can be done when somebody is still hopping mad. Still hopping mad, like really angry, And you can imagine, a bunch of young men together, you can imagine the competition that can be there. And women do it in a different way. There is two things. Sometimes they become envious, but many times there is more, we work together. We're more social in general. That's the psychology. But anyway, so that community is still going on. And I thought that was a really good way of developing humility. It's like if somebody, you offend somebody, bow on their feet, ask for a blessing. It's going to take care of it. Yes. See that? Yes, it has to.
So, in this line of using Christian examples, but we could use it, transpose it onto devotees.
Yeah.
So in this one monastery, everybody was like fighting. And so the abbot, he brought everybody together and said that, one of you is actually Jesus, right? Was it? Or was a pure devotee? One of you is pure.
He's a pure devotee, yeah.
Okay? I mean, absolutely pure, and because he's absolutely pure, you don't want to offend that person. So then everybody was wondering who it was.
And they
started treating everybody well. So if we could actually understand that everyone potentially in this room and all around us is a pure devotee, we should treat everybody as if they're like Prabhupada. Everybody should be treated as good as the guru, because someone might be, and of course we shouldn't have, Trinadapi Sunichi, that means you should be humble and honor everyone. But if we can start thinking that, my God, Apoorva's a pure devotee, or Omkara actually has he's just hiding the revelations that he has, and at any moment he's going to reveal the absolute truth. We don't offend anybody.
I have a question. I hope it's a good question. Vishwanath,
Just stay here. When a person asks for forgiveness from the person who he has offended or she has offended, that person who is offended has the power of, okay, I forgive you, which is not the best feeling to have. The best feeling is to have, yes, it can, like I said before, it brings out in the offended person the best of his qualities to give a blessing to this other person.
Yeah.
That is psychologically, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it really
it's
is
good.
perfect.
It's good.
beautiful.
Jai. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
That's okay,
jai.
it's not a relevant question. That's okay, don't worry.
Oh, you wanted to say something?
No, that's fine.
Oh. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Sorry. Huh? I hope it me. Okay. I really pray that I'm so tired. Krishna. I don't know.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvantam Aravindanalayataptam Marhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Tandar ako di kamania Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Tiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham
Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliyadamana Vidana Kaliyadamana Dana Kaliyadamana Vidana Kaliyadamana Vidana Amala Harinamami Avilasa Amala Harinamami Avilasa Amala Harinamami Avilasa Amala Harinamami Avilasa Vipinan Purandaran Navinadagara Bara Vamsivadana Subhasa Vipinam Randaran Navinadagara Bara Vamsivadana Subhasa Vipinam Purandaran Navinadagara Bara Vamsivadana Subhasa Vipinam Purandara Vinadagara Bara Vamsivadana Subhasa Rajajana Palana Surakulanasana Rajapana Pala Surakulanasana Brajajana Palana Surakula Nashana Brajabana Palana Surakula Nashana Nanda Godano Rakawala Nanda Godana Rakawala Nanda Godana Rakawala Nanda Godana Rakawala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Jara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Jara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Yamuna Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nattabara 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 Bhakati Vinodashraya Bhakati Vinodashraya Bhakati Vinodashraya Bhakati Vinodashraya Yasomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yasomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Amala Harina Miya Vilasa Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nattabara Shri Radha Vallabha Nattabara Bhakati Vinodashraya Bhakati Vinodashraya Bhakati Vinodashraya Bhakati Vinodashraya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Jaya Radha Kananda Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai Jai Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Gaura ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Lord Krishna is beloved son of Yashoda, transcendental lover in the land of Braj, the delight of Gokula, known by the nickname Kana, the wealth of the lives of the gopis, the attractor of Cupid, and punisher of the serpent Kaliya. These pure holy names of Lord, sweet nectarian pastimes, Lord of the 12 forests of Braj, ever youthful, the best of lovers, player of the flute and excellent dresser, protector of the inhabitants of Braj, destroyer of demoniac dynasties, keeper and tender of Nanda's cows, giver of pleasure to cows, land, and spiritual senses, husband of the goddess of fortune, butter thief, and beautiful little cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaj, wanderer of the Yamuna riverbanks, thief of garments of the gopis, enjoyer of the dance, very merciful, lover and beloved of Sri Radha, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the only shelter of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Chaitodarpanam Arjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairagya Chandikaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratpanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Paramvijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjanina Nuraga Trinada Pisu Nichena Torora Pisu Hishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Hoitaki Twai. It's springtime in Vrindavan. Beautiful. Very nice. Rivayatava Bhagaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gadgadurudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyavapadamritam panastumam adarshanam marmahata karotuva yatatatava vidadatu lampato mat pranana tastusa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of the holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. You have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even the hard, fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your constant devotional service, birth after birth. O Samaraj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant my holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, remaining broken-hearted and not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shastika Ki Jai. And today is Mother Rani's birthday. Haribol!
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Hey Krishna. And we like to thank Mother Lila Shakti for dressing their lordships in such a nice, beautiful spring green with the flowers and everything.